Night Patrol, Chapter 34. Epilogue. The Return. Celestia felt her sister's magic leave her, and with it her strength. The wear and tear on her body over these last 1,000 years has finally caught up to her all at once, leaving her as weak and tired as she had been the day she sealed Luna away. She struggles, a laugh. It seems Starwind was right. Her spell did catch up to her. All the years she spent training and practicing to fight Nightmare Moon again, and she was taken out before the battle even began. Seems she had no choice but to put all her faith in her adorable little student. Hopefully, Twilight took her advice to heart and found some friends. "You're looking tired," a voice said from the darkness of the green room she was placed in while she waits for her cue to raise the sun. A voice she hadn't heard in 1,000 years. "I'm tired. A long nap would be nice," Celestia replies as tears fell from her eyes. "And how was the moon? I can't imagine it was a very fun place to be for 1,000 years. Nightmare Moon steps out from the darkness, circling around the tired Sun Princess, a smirk spread wide across her lips. "It wasn't all bad. Constantly fighting for 1,000 years really helped pass the time. You would not believe how close it was in the end. Had Luna just rested for half a day, she would have overwhelmed me, and you would not be at my mercy." She did always have a habit of overworking herself, Celestia chuckles despite herself. The pony in front of her could kill her with ease if she wanted to. Yet she didn't. Did this mean Luna was still fighting? "I suppose this is where you end me, dear sister." Silence fills between the two princesses, neither one saying anything for a solid minute. "No," Nightmare said suddenly. "I don't feel that right now. Maybe later, after you spend 1,000 years on your precious son. It will give you a good view of Equestria under my rule." "I suppose there is some sort of irony in that," Celestia chuckles as Nightmare's magic surrounds her. In a flash, Celestia found herself on the surface of the sun, with a big wide viewing portal showing her everything Nightmare Moon saw. Her twisted sister walks onto the balcony and addressing the gathered ponies, her student, her last hope, Twilight Sparkle, rising up to face the Dark Princess. "It's all up to you now, Twilight. I'm sorry it's come to this." Celestia sat down to watch the event unfold. The pain of not being able to help hurt her more than any wound. The pony stood and gasped at her presence, and that little lavender unicorn that actually knew who she was looked so cute as she tried to stand up to her. Oh, how fun this night would be. Nightmare was dreaming up all sorts of things she could throw at the band of 6 that trekked through the ever-free after her. She was tempted to summon up an army of shadow ponies to devour them down to the bone. But seeing her, the earth pony mare that looked exactly like her old friend, who also shares the same name, Nightmare's urge to harm them was diminished greatly. Perhaps some simple illusion spells. Nightmare ponders as the group tangles with a manticore that she enraged with a thorn. Surprisingly, the shy Pegasus of the group was the one to quell the beast. Nightmare Moon floats around in a purple mist, tracking the group, spying on them, but mostly just enjoying the amusement of their antics as they blunder their way through her challenges. They seem to be having an easy time, perhaps too easy. Time to raise the bar. A little magic here, and instant rock slide, Nightmare snickered as the ponies scatter from the falling rocks. However, the Lavender pony slid off the edge of the cliff, with only Applejack to keep her from falling. Again, not wanting their deaths, Nightmare flew underneath the mare and made a hoof solid and placed it under the Lavender mare's dangling hooves to hold her up till Applejack lifts her up, which should be happening any second now. "Let go, and you'll be safe," Applejack said, much to Nightmare Moon's and Twilight's shock. "That's not true!" the Lavender mare screams. "Well, she's technically right," Nightmare supposed, not actually sure what her friend's descendant was doing. Then she saw the two Pegasi below, ready to catch the unicorn. The Lavender one must have insulted Applejack at some point, and this is a form of a harmless payback. Classic Applejack. I'm glad her sense of humor has stayed in the bloodline. I always found it charming. Nightmare removes her hoof and fled, letting the two Pegasi catch the Lavender mare. She flew past a sea monster, accidentally cutting off the purple serpent's mustache as he began withering in agony. Wow! Monsters are not what they used to be, she notes, shocked at the display the monster was making over such a minor thing as facial hair. Used to be you could cut a limb off and they won't even blink an eye. What in Tartarus happened while I was away? Moving on, Nightmare glided across the canyon to the castle and land on the other side, a thick mist covering the area. Thankfully, she could still get a clear view of the castle, and it was, sad to say, the least. Time has laid a crumbling grip up her old home, and from the looks of things, efforts to save the old structure were not attempted. I should fly up to that sun and buck you right in the face, sister, Nightmare seethes, feeling immense rage over the state of their home. Her anger quickly fades to annoyance as the voices of those 6 mares drifts over the mist. The blue one with the rainbow mane flew over the canyon to retie the rope bridge. Flickering her horn, Nightmare creates another illusion, but one that left her frozen as the image of Nightingale glides down to the blue Pegasus and chats with her. The sight of the metal-winged Pegasus made her realize something. They were dead. All of her friends were dead. Hot tears spilled down her cheeks as she glares at the castle. She could sense them, the elements. They were inside. She was going to destroy them. Disappearing into mist, Nightmare searches the entire castle, thinking Celestia might have hidden them somewhere else. She checks Celestia's room, Starwind's, and finally come to a stop in her room. Her room, which was perfectly preserved, exactly as it had been 1,000 years ago. On the bed lay a note next to her old doll, the one Celestia had given her as a gift so long ago. Nightmare picks up the note. She had extended it expected it to be from Celestia, but it was. But it wasn't. Just from her. Howdy, Luna. Going to be writing a letter that you'll get in 1,000 years, but Celestia said it should reach you just fine. I just wanted to say, after you were banished, I guess the word we're using, I settled down and started farming. I wish you could have seen it. Rawhide and I picked out the perfect spot. We even had a few little foals. Their names are Apple Gin. He's my oldest. Apple Whiskey is my second child. You may find this strange, but my third kid is named Applejack after me. Isn't that funny? She kind of looks like me too. Weird. Anyway, I just wanted to write and say I'm alright and that I'm living my dreams, all thanks to you. I really wish I could have talked to you one more time. I always figured you outlived me, so I guess it's a little weird for me to think I'll never see you again. I guess I don't know what to say, really. You've done so much for me and my family. For every pony. I wish there was some way we could have helped you. I just wanted you to know everything we did. All the hardships and pain. It was worth it. Equestria is a much better place now, thanks to you. I want you to know that. Your friend, Applejack. A strange sob escapes from her throat as she fell down on her bed, weeping into the covers. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. She tried to make the world better. She did make the world better. Why? Why did she have to suffer? Why did she have to be locked away? To live in a world without her friends? Applejacks, Sixes, Fury, all of them. Why did this happen? Nightmare Moon screams into the sheets. Rage filled her. She would make them pay. She would make them all pay. She won't just destroy the elements. She was going to obliterate them one by one and make sure they realized just how big a mistake they made by sealing her away. A joyful scream from down below caught her attention. Seems the Lavender Mare found the elements, and in the same room Celestia had left them. Somehow that didn't surprise her. Celestia did have a knack for losing things. Thus, she likes to keep them in the same place, if she could. One teleport later, Nightmare was in the room where the elements were kept. They were encased in stone, powerless and silent. The Lavender Mare argues with her, but she brushes her off and stomps the elements to dust. The mare let out a growl and charged at her. How cute! Nightmare scuffs, easily weighing off any spell the young unicorn might cast. She had the magic, but there was no killing intent in her attacks. Seems Celestia hasn't taught her how to fight yet. Shame. That being said, the Lavender Unicorn did remind her of a certain black-eyed little filly with just as much magic. Could she be of Starwind's bloodline? It matters not. She will be destroyed. What are all these lights? The other 5 have joined the Lavender Mare, and they were all floating, and the elements were being reformed. No! I will not allow it! She almost beat the elements once. She could do it again, but this time she would win. Now that Luna was out of the way, her body won't move. What's going on? Like you said, it's not who wins the most, but who wins last that counts, Luna said, appearing in the mental realm. The Princess of the Night quickly seized control from Nightmare, restraining the dark alicorn with her shadow shroud. I found it strange after you defeated me on the moon. I suddenly realized you never used this technique once during any of our battles over the centuries. It is one of our most powerful of our spells, so why not use it? Then I found the answer. You couldn't use it. The elements purged the dark magic from you. Though you are still evil, that is just who you are. For me, this is my darkness, my hatred. I realize now what must happen. You fool! Do you even know what the elements will do to us this time? Luna bulks. There is no us. And yes, I have an idea. I won't like it, but what must be done? The rainbow beams drew closer, and Luna, now in control, stood completely still, ready to take the blunt of the attack, and whatever punishment came with it. The rainbow magic engulfs her, but instead of burning agony she felt last time, she felt warmth. I see now. Thank you. Luna opened her eyes, and for the first time in 1,000 years, she had her own body again, just a little smaller than normal. Seems the darkness formed quite a while ago, she mutters as she struggles to get up, her legs weak and flimsy. Darn it! She was a teenager again? This better be temporary. Princess Luna? That voice. Celestia! Luna looks up at the glorious sight of her big sister, walking towards her and giving some speech about something, but Luna could feel her real thoughts and feelings, and what Celestia was actually saying was, "Come and hug me already." And she did. She ran up to her sister and nuzzled against her warmth. After 1,000 years on the cold moon, she could fall asleep right now and not even care. Unfortunately, she couldn't do that, since there was a parade for her return. Weirdly, she waves to the townsfolk she had only been terrorizing a few hours ago. Did not seem to recognize she was Nightmare Moon. Because who would? She looked completely different. The entire town celebrates her return all day and night, despite not knowing why. However, the pinky earth pony who inherited the element of laughter told her you don't need a reason to party. An idea Luna agreed with. But it was clear that the town ponies were tired, having spent the last 2 days partying. Thankfully, the party ended. Or rather, she snuck away back to the old castle and fell upon her bed with a revelish sigh and slept. In the morning, Luna woke refreshed. Happily, she trots out into the hallway, expecting the sweet smell of baked goods and the chatter of her patrollers as they prepared for the day. However, there was none of that. Only the smell of must and mold, and the sound of silence. It's gotten pretty bad, hasn't it? You let it get this way, Lynn replies, looking accusingly at Celestia. The elder Alicorn could only sigh and nod. Had been expecting Luna to say something like that. She wasn't wrong. She did let the castle go to ruins instead of fixing it. It was too painful. The memories, that is. I had not the heart to face them, Celestia said sorrowfully. If Luna was angry with her, she didn't show it. Celestia learned to go and hug her sister, but something told her now was not the time. What happened to them? Luna asked suddenly, catching Celestia off guard. What happened to whom? Luna gave her a flat look. Sighing, Celestia nudged for Luna to follow her, and she led her outside to the memorial wall. Here would probably be the best spot to explain things. 10 years after your banishment to the moon, there was a division between the members of the Night Patrol. Some retired and wandered away into the world. Others joined me to help me train the new Royal Guard. They were the ones that disappeared entirely. Sixes was the leader of that faction. He and many others simply left and were never seen again. All I know is that they were trying to find a way to see you again. Applejack might have known what their plan was, but she wouldn't tell me, even till her last breath. She said it was what Sixes wanted. I'm sorry, I couldn't watch over them better. Silently, Luna touched the face of the memorial wall with her hoof, looking through all the names that had been added after her banishment. A lot of dragon ponies were not listed. Crusader being the only one she could remember clearly off the top of her head. Some of them must have been newborns after she was banished. Amazingly, some of them lived to be over 400 years old. Slowly, Luna steps back from the wall, a small smile gracing her lips as she bit back tears. You did your best. I just hope they found happiness wherever they ended up. The two sisters stood there for several more minutes before finally taking their leave, neither of them suspecting what, or rather who, were resting beneath their hooves. Deep beneath the earth rest the soldiers of the night, who have waited 1,000 years for their princess to return. They would continue to wait till she needed them once again. Whenever that may be, they didn't know. But that didn't change the fact that they would be ready, waiting in stone till the time came. Meanwhile, inside the marble room that housed the vault where the slumbering patroller slept, a pony suddenly appeared in the room as if she had always been there. Slowly she glides across the floor, her boot hooves clicking against the white stone, her black ethereal hair dancing silently in the air as she came to a stop before the marble door. With nothing but a flick of her horn, the door fell away to dust, allowing her entry to the vault. Once she stepped inside, the door reformed as if nothing ever happened. The pony shook her head and removed her helm, freeing more of her hair and revealing her piercing black eyes. She spots the statue of Sixes, standing tall and proud, without a clue just how difficult he made her life with his little stunt turning himself to stone. A tawny color mare sighs and smiles as she lights a light with her horn, revealing the infinity mark on her flank and the wings folded at her side. You just had to go and throw everything out of whack, didn't you, Sixes? Well, I hope it was worth it, because things are gonna get chaotic thanks to you. Despite the extra work you've created for me, I feel inclined to help get out of this prison you made for yourself. Just not right now. Sorry, but it's gonna be a little while longer before Luna can wake you up. But everything is about timing. And trust me, I know all about proper timing. I am the princess of it, after all. Dusk, smiles as she dons her helm. "Don't worry, it won't be too much longer." And with those parting words, dusk blinks out of existence, as if she had never been there, leaving the soldiers of the night waiting for the day they could rejoin their princess once again. The end. That was Night Patrol. There is a Night Patrol part 2 that I will be doing in January. I appreciate everyone who has been listening, and I would like to take this time to explain why this is my favorite fan fiction of them all. It is adventurous, it's heartwarming, it has values, it speaks on the view of the military life a little bit, and the sacrifices that each one of us have to make. What I mean by that is we are given choices each and every day, good and bad, and there are consequences to each of them. Night Patrol touches on these virtues. What would a father, mother, parents go through to make sure the safety of their children? What would a leader do when faced with a tough decision? What is a comrade to do when others fall on the battlefield? What are you to do when you don't have a sense of purpose? Everything I asked is right here in Night Patrol. There are wonderful fanfics out there. Wonderful. But this one is number 1 on my list. I wish you all a good night, and I will see you all in January. Till then, Icy Night, signing off. Good night.